Hello everyone, I'm Gemma Beall. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. We had a very busy weekend this weekend and it was absolutely awesome. Met a lot of new people, and one of the biggest questions that I was asked to explain was the concept of shielding. Now I've already done a video about shielding and also have it in my first book, The Energy Experience. So what I want this presentation to be about specifically is what I call particle exchange. Now in my book, what I talked about particle exchange was more in line with a person who is empathic. What I'm going to talk about in this video today is not necessarily to do with empaths, because we exchange particles of our PSOYCA throughout our entire lives and even past lives and everything else. And that process is what really keeps us energetically attached to other people, and even when we want to disconnect energetically from them. So this what this presentation is going to be about. Now I'm going to have to go in and kind of break this down and kind of make it make sense. So please use the comment sections to ask your questions, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave something out. This is off the cuff. I'm done using scripts as a crutch. Yay me. Okay, so what particle exchanges are, in my point of view. Our consciousness, our PSOYCA, is pure energy, and it has trillions, gazillion particles that are all a part of the same whole. So if you want to use your body as a reference, because this is something that we can understand, is your body has trillions of cells. So we're going to say 9 trillion cells, because that's the last number I think science has come up with, which it's probably more than that. But each cell in and of itself is consciousness in its own right. So our PSOYCA particles, each cell is consciousness in its own right. Now, as we go throughout our lives, or in between lives, especially when we're attached to a human form, we have our energy field. The energy is constantly flowing through the body out into our field. And as we encounter other people in their energy field, our energies go into their field and circulate through their body. And that's how we kind of exchange energies with other people, when we don't put up a kind of protective shield to prevent our energies from going into their field, or their energies from coming into ours. So because we have a tendency to do that, we also have a tendency to give particles of ourselves away through our emotional connections. So when you have parents or siblings or children or lovers or friends, you have a tendency to give pieces of your PSOYCA to that person. Well, what happens when we give pieces of our PSOYCA away to somebody else, that particle or particles that we give of our PSOYCA creates an energetic resonance with that other person. It stays within their field, it stays within their being. It doesn't become a part of their being, as in it converts or transmutes to be a part of their identical frequency. But it does remain with them and creates a resonance that stays within that field. And then when we take in particles of other people, we have the same thing happen. That's what establishes energetic connections between two people. Now, a lot of times you will have a relationship go sour, and especially people who are empathic or psychically sensitive, they have a problem disconnecting from relationships. And part of the reason is because you still carry those particles of those people with you. And I did go into this, like I said, in my book, The Energy Experience. Well, and I did do a video about this. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But I explained an experience that I had where, from the time I was a little kid, I always felt these intense connections to people that would just drive me crazy, basically. So in my quest to sever connections with a particular person, my PSOYCA led me to this information about the particle exchange based on my questions, and I finally found a solution. At that point in time, what I did, I called every particle of my PSOYCA that I have given away throughout any lifetime, especially this one or any in between, and I called those particles back to myself. And in the instructions, I instructed that any resonance that my particle had with that other person was severed and cleaned and cleared of any residual trash that person is carrying when it came back to me. And in turn, I returned all particles, the not of my PSOYCA that did not belong with me, back to the other person, stripped them of the resonance with my being, and erased any kind of trash that I carried so it wouldn't go back to them. And that's when I felt the connections sever. That's also when I stopped running into people and having this intense emotional connection. And I think that this emotional connection, or the spiritual connection that people have with one another, you hear the term soulmates all the time. And I would be willing to bet, and I'm not a betting person, that most of the time when people meet somebody and they feel this intense spiritual connection right off the bat, this soulmate thing, it's not the other person's soul that they're recognizing. It's the particles of their own PSOYCA that they're recognizing that that person is carrying. But what do I know? Now, if you look along the same lines of this particle sharing, when you dedicate yourself to like a religion or any kind of belief, because of the way these religions and beliefs are set up, you are giving parts of your PSOYCA to that entity. And it is an entity. It is an energetic entity that is created by those who want to control you. And when you dedicate yourself to that, you give parts of your PSOYCA away to that entity. And that entity puts what I call a control seed into you, into your being that you carry with it. That's why it's so difficult to walk away from beliefs and religions, because even when you mentally sever the connection, there's still an energetic connection that you still feed that entity, whether you're aware of it or not. So when you're trying to reclaim your sovereignty as your own independent PSOYCA, it's equally important to reclaim all of your PSOYCA particles that you've given away willingly or unwillingly, especially to any belief that you've once held. And that's how you reclaim all your PSOYCA. That's all I can think of for right now. So like I said, if you have questions, please put them in the comments and we can expand on this topic, because there's a whole lot more information about it. I just can't think of it right now. So for everyone who's subscribed, thank you so much. Welcome aboard, and I hope you enjoy the channel. For all of those subscribers that have been with us, I want to thank y'all for your support, and stay the course and don't give up on yourself.